Gambian president hit at opposition in government for derailing national development. President Trump said for smooth transition of power as Senate endorsed Joe Biden's election victory. The WHO chief expresses concern over China's unannounced COVID-19 restrictions. Well, these and more coming your way on The World Today. Thank you for joining us, and this is Africa TV and you are watching the World Today News Bulletin. I am Amadou Kante, and now the news in details. Now, President Adama Barrow has blamed opposition parties for the slow progress of development, saying they had different political agenda while occupying certain positions. According to him, if people in the same government have a different agenda, they can never walk towards the same direction. Fatmata Kasim has more of that in this report.
In a meeting in Bakau as part of his Meet the People tour, President Adama Barrow said opposition politicians are not supporting his development agenda because they think it gives him due advantage over them in the upcoming elections. Barrow said what they fail to understand is that he wasn't elected in 2016 because he did something for the Gambia, but because God wants him to be the president.
Minister Diamuta, area council.
One of the ministers said that the area council should have been our host for these meetings, and the deputy mayor only attended one of our meetings in the KMC. What I will say is that if you have a different agenda with someone, your journey would not last long. That is why our progress is slow, because some people are occupying position and they think if everything goes as planned, then President Barrow will be here for a long time. They forgot that when I was voted in 2016, I did nothing for the Gambia. It was God who chose me to be the president.
Barrow said he believed that there is a life after presidency, and that is why he is not here to serve for a long time. He said he comes with a good heart, and that is why even after presidency, he will still be in the Gambia.
Wherever God says my presidency will end, that's where it will end, because there is life after the presidency. I believe that my presidency will not last for long. I will just work, and after my work is completed, I will go. I will still be in the Gambia, and I will live in peace and be respected, because I came with a clean and pure heart.
Barrow urged everyone to come together to support his agenda, saying he does not look down on anyone. He also said his government respects everyone and that everyone is important. Barrow said Gambians should have the same agenda, and that agenda should be to take the country forward. He said there is no space for tribalism and division in the Gambia. For iAfrica TV, I am Fatoumata Kasim.
President Barrow held a meeting in Bakau as part of his Meet the People tour. Now to US next, because the outgoing US President Donald Trump says there will be a smooth transition of power in January after a joint session of Congress certified the election of Joe Biden as the 46th President of the United States. During Wednesday's Congress session, Trump supporters invaded Capitol Hill to disrupt proceedings. Here are more details of that in this report.
The outgoing U.S. Vice President Mike Pence has declared Joe Biden and Kamala Harris President and Vice President of the United States, following the official certification of the vote by Congress in Washington, D.C. in the early hours of Thursday. Donald Trump's supporters had earlier stormed the Capitol building to disrupt a joint session of Congress to certify the election of Joe Biden. Wednesday's chaotic scenes followed months of escalating rhetoric from Mr. Trump and some Republicans allied that sought to undermine the result of the November 3rd elections. However, Vice President Pence, in his ceremonial role as President of the Senate, joined Congress to endorse Biden's victory to end months of uncertainty.
Certificate from Texas. The whole number of electors appointed to vote for President of the United States is 538. Within that whole number, a majority is 270. The votes for President of the United States are as follows: Joseph R. Biden Jr., of the state of Delaware has received 306 votes. Donald J. Trump of the state of Florida has received 232 votes. The whole number of electors appointed to vote for Vice President of the United States is 538. Within that whole number, a majority is 270. The votes for Vice President of the United States are as follows. Kamala D. Harris of the state of California has received 306 votes. Michael R. Pence of the state of Indiana has received 232 votes.
Mr. Pence also said the announcement of the state of the vote by the President of the Senate shall be deemed a sufficient declaration of the persons declared President and Vice President of the United States.
The announcement of the state of the vote by the President of the Senate shall be deemed a sufficient declaration of the persons elected President and Vice President of the United States, each for the term beginning on the 20th day of January, 2021, and shall be entered together with the list of the votes on the journals of the Senate and the House of Representatives.
President Trump has finally acknowledged the end of his fourth term as president, saying there would be an orderly transition of power on January 20, moments after Congress formally certified the Electoral College votes in favor of President-elect Joe Biden. There were reports of 4 deaths on Wednesday in Capitol Hill as President Trump's supporters invaded the building and occupied the complex for a few hours.
And from the report there on the UN's elections, as finally President Trump accepted to leave office after 4 years. Now we come back home and we report on matters of the TRC because the Director General of the State Intelligence Service, Usman Sow, continued his testimony at the Truth Commission on Thursday. Sow, who is the former head of the Investigative Department unit of the NIA under the regime of Yahya Jammeh, told the Truth Commission that the agency did return assets seized from people, including compounds and vehicles. The CISE has more details of his testimony in this report.
The National Intelligence Agency, NIA, and the Junglers were the 2 main weapons of Yahya Jammeh's regime in the Gambia. In the past 2 weeks, the country's Third Commission hearings on the NIA have provided area insight into the damage the institution has caused. Apart from accounts of torture, enforced disappearances and deaths in custody, the Third Commission has heard from the witnesses that NIA did impound properties of individuals without returning them. The NIA institution's former head of investigations, Usman Sow, who is now the agency's Director General, accepted but said the properties were returned to their owners.
When I assumed office, I remember some requests that we received on matters of vehicles that we had to process and return.
Amon ay kaddu yo xamne ñu ngi doon di laccé ay moto yi nga xamne su buntu liggéey kay jëlon nañ ko dama warona liggéey ci kayit yu pour ñu délo moto yoyu.
So if that's a case in point, yes, lead counsel, there were instances when properties of individuals involved in cases that were being investigated were impounded.
The former president Yahya Jammeh is accused of being involved in drug dealing with other foreign nationals through the NIA. But the NIA Director General told the Third Commission that he was not aware of such in NIA during his time as the head of Investigative Department.
Statement yesterday. What really I had in mind a systematic, organized, orchestrated NIA operations involved in drug cases. That was truly what I had in mind. And for that I was not honestly, truly aware.
The NIA is accused of unlawful arrest, torture and detention, including journalists and civil servants. For instance, Lamin Kabu, an anti-drug agent, was stripped naked and tortured by the NIA after he was sent there by Usman Sow. On Thursday, Sow said he was shocked by his torture because he did not bring him to the headquarters to be tortured.
Well, I didn't expect Kagbo to be tortured. Why? Luther? Well, as far as I'm concerned, he was to help the investigation. It was clear from when we called in Sukuta and said, here is someone of interest to the ongoing investigations, go with him to help the investigations.
Sow also apologized to Kabu for the torture meted on him during the course of investigation and by extension to the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency. The National Intelligence Agency, a torture machine of the dictatorship, had used beatings with metal pipes, cables and fan belts on tortured victims. The agency has also used electrocution, suffocation and waterboarding in its torture sessions against suspects in the last 2 decades. For iAfrica News, I am Daisy Singh.
The head of Gambia's intelligence service there appeared for the second time before Gambia's Truth Commission. Now, the Director General of the World Health Organization, Dr. Tedros Adhanom Ghebreyesus, has expressed disappointment at China's unannounced COVID-19 restriction. According to the WHO chief, the Chinese authorities have blocked the arrival of international experts who are set to investigate the origins of the coronavirus. Here are more details of that in this report.
When the coronavirus outbreak first emerged in China's Wuhan city, the WHO engaged China for them to work together in the investigations into the origins of the novel coronavirus. However, the Chinese authorities have blocked the arrival of the COVID-19 international experts who were set to investigate the origins of the pandemic. The WHO boss, Dr. Tedros Adhanom Ghebreyesus, said he is disappointed after Chinese authorities appear to be delaying the entry of 2 WHO specialists into the country.
Been in contact with senior Chinese officials, and I have once again made it clear that the mission is a priority for WHO and the international team. I have been assured that China is speeding up the internal procedure for the earliest possible deployment. We're eager to get the mission underway as soon as possible.
The WHO boss said China's actions have shown that they have yet to finalize the necessary permissions for the team's arrival in China.
Today, we learned that Chinese officials have not yet finalized the necessary permissions for the team's arrival in China. I'm very disappointed with this news, given that 2 members had already begun their journeys and others were not able to travel at the last minute.
Michael Ryan, the executive director of WHO's Health Emergencies Program, described the situation as frustrating. Ryan said he hopes that it is solved as soon as possible.
This is frustrating, and as the Director General has said, this is disappointing. That disappointment has been expressed very clearly by Dr. Tedros directly to our counterparts in China, and we trust that in good faith we can solve these issues in the coming hours and recommence the deployment of the team as urgently as possible.
The WHO has been working to send a 10-person team of international experts to China for months, with the aim of probing the origin of the pandemic and exactly how the virus first crossed over to humans. But the origins of the virus remain deeply contested. Some experts now believe that the virus may not have originated from the Huanan seafood market as initially believed. Last month, it was announced that the investigations into the origins of the virus will begin in January 2021, and 2 team members of the international team departed for China early on Tuesday. For iAfrica News, I am Daisy Singh.
And from the report there by Daisy on WHO matters, we will now take a break and come back shortly with the remaining of the story. Stay with us, we'll be right back.
For the first time in the Gambia, your favorite GSM operator, Africell, is the first and only GSM operator to launch a brand new technology called the eSIM. The eSIM simply means you can use your phone without a SIM card. Do you have an iPhone 11, any of the iPhone X series, a Google Pixel 3, or any new phone that supports the e-technology? Then walk into any Africell customer care center and activate your eSIM today. With your virtual Africell SIM, you can use more than one number without having a physical SIM card in your phone. Enjoy this brand new technology for the first time in the Gambia, brought to you by AfriCell. eSIM, your phone without a SIM card. For more information, please call 111. Where AfriCell goes, nobody dares to follow.
Welcome back, and once again thanks for joining us. Now, the advisor to the President, Dou Sano, has called an end to the tribalism in the Gambia, said all tribes are related. Sano, who was speaking in Ibo Town on Tuesday during a meeting as part of the President's nationwide tour, said people should not be discriminated because they belong to a particular tribe. Let's have more details of that in this report by Fatmata Kasim.
The issue of tribe and tribal identity has been a major concern in the Gambia, and in some cases has led to social and political discrimination in some quarters. According to the President's advisor, Dou Sano, said the issue of tribal identity is disuniting Gambians and needs to be addressed.
There are many things being said here, like this man is a Mandinka, this man is a Wolof, that one is a Jola, and yesterday various speakers highlighted it, included Honorable Oji Jallow. It is the much talked about word that brings hatred, and it is the reason why they are disunited. I witnessed an incident where a man from a particular tribe wanted to marry a wife from another tribe, but that was refused because of tribalism.
Dou Sano, who was in the same party as President Barrow before he was elected president, said the current president is a representation of all Gambians. Sano accused his former party, the United Democratic Party, of betraying the president.
What has been said here today, so that we are in contention with people who insult me on daily basis, and they insult the president too, even though they were the ones that betrayed the president first. The people who betrayed the president were the UDP. Today, I am not speaking on behalf of the government, but I represent the people of Joswan here. President Barrow has done everything for UDP. Since beginning, UDP was poor when Barrow took over its leadership in 2016. As they had only $14,000 in their accounts. All the congresses they conducted were financed by President Barrow.
The presidential advisor said Joshuan constituency has always supported the sitting government, but said they didn't benefit much from the previous governments. He assured Barrow of the constituency's support and said they are content with the development they got from this government. For iAfrica TV, I am Fatoumata Kasim.
Of course, President Barrow's advisor, Dou Sano, calls again against tribalism in the Gambia, and from the report there, next to South Africa, where academics and scientists are divided over the effectiveness of the coronavirus vaccine of the new COVID-19 variant in the country. The country's health system has been largely affected by the new variant, despite its difference with that of the United Kingdom, experts say. South Africa continues to witness rapid increase of new cases, with the country registering over 1 million cases so far. Let's have more details of that in this report.
Technically, the South African and UK variants are different, but both are placing huge challenges on health systems in those countries.
The theory is that those mutations have allowed the virus, via its spike protein, to bind more tightly to the receptor on our human cells. In other words, allowing it to infect the cells more effectively and therefore becoming more infectious.
Now, so far in South Africa, we haven't seen an increase in mortality, and we haven't seen a change in the disease pattern. And I think the same would be true for the UK variant as well. But clearly, we're continuing to look very hard at this. It's early days, and we would need to continue to monitor this.
Experts are still gathering information about the virus variants and whether the current batch of vaccines will be effective against the recently discovered ones.
So there is a bit of concern that these variants may not be as effective with the vaccines as they are currently manufactured. However, from the research I've done, most of these pharmaceutical companies say that it won't take much to manipulate or tweak that vaccine to make it as effective as before.
It is a theoretical concern that the vaccines might be less effective, but this is currently being investigated. In a few weeks' time, we'll be able to get answers to this. One of the good things about some of the technologies of the vaccines under development is that it will be feasible to change the vaccines should they be less effective against the new variants.
As the debate amongst academics and scientists continues around the efficacy of the current batch of vaccines to deal with the new variants, we have to wait and see because we don't have enough data yet.